So, I haven't posted a video on my fish channel in a while. And I thought, why don't I just do a little video of me getting a whole new light system from one of my tanks. So right here I have a $5 LED clip light that originally plugs into the wall, as you can tell, by big thick gauge wires. And what I'm doing is I'm modifying this thing so I can have a on and off switch on the tank, just like so. And I'm also elongating the wires. So right here is the whole. Right here is the transformer to convert the 120 volts to a more manageable 4 or 5 volts that these LEDs will require. And this this little LED light is going to go directly onto that tank right here. And excuse me. And what I'm hoping to do is to have a major lighting difference. So right here is one of my 10-gallon tanks. This tank here has the LED strip lights. I mean, they're bright, but in daytime like this, it's really hard to tell that they're on. I mean, if I turn it off, you can see the difference, but not really much of a difference, really. This simple $5 light that I gotta slightly modify is, in theory, gonna make a bigger difference. So what I'm gonna do is that unfortunately I still have to use this big thick piece right here, but I'm okay with it because this piece right here will allow me to practically waterproof this whole section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the whole thing back together and then waterproof it and come back. Alright, so it's set up. Now, I'm actually looking back at another LED light that I saw from Walmart that basically has the exact same setup, though the actual enclosure for it was like this thick in comparison to this big monstrosity. The only reason why I went for this is because it's $5, it'll do the job, and overall it'll actually give the lid a little bit of something to hit whenever I open the lid up to do water changes and whatnot. That way, so I can rest the lid up on something like this. That way, so it doesn't fully fall back and get damaged. But for waterproofing, all I did was just line the little gap right here of hot glue. This thing's not going to be going directly into the water or anything. So this simple bead of hot glue will basically make this thing water resistant, because the worst thing that's going to happen is just water is going to beat up on here and just fall off. And of course I hot glued this in mainly so the wiring doesn't get pulled out and whatnot. And of course I have a little vent hole right here to vent out the hot air and whatnot. But overall it's pretty simply, it's very simply put together. It's a simple little $5 light. I'll come back when I get everything set up on the tank. Alright, so here's the tank lid. Hole for the light goes here. And of course the whole bottom just held together by duct tape. Well, the whole thing's held together by duct tape. This lid's already waterlogged, though I don't know how much longer it can handle, especially considering I'll be placing this on here, and this is going to add quite a bit of weight to it. So, and as time goes on, this lid will eventually start to really dip. Right now it's definitely not straight like it used to be, but it's holding up still. But this weight right here on the top is going to really weigh this lid down. So how am I going to attach this thing? Well, simply I'm just going to more or less place it like this to where the wires are more or less out the back, and then I'm just going to put a bead of hot glue right here. That way, so it'll be strong enough to hold the thing hold it down for just general lifting up the lid and whatnot, but also be weak enough to where if I want to remove this thing and upgrade it to a more thinner and lighter shroud, I can easily do so. Which, considering I am most likely going to eventually remove this ugly knob, or whatever you call it, and just go for something a lot more thinner. I just went for this light because this light's a lot more brighter than what I currently have in my current tanks. Granted, this tank right here is the exception. That and maybe my puffer tank. My puffer tank's pretty bright. Goldfish tank using better lighting too, of course. Alright, so I got the little light on, held in by a simple bead of hot glue. I tack this down. I'm going to tack this down when I get the light, when I get the LEDs and whatnot set up. And I'm currently watching a live stream. So with that said, I'm going to put this back on my tank, wire it up, and come back. Alright, so here's the tank. It's all lit up. You cannot read, well, I don't know if my phone's really capable of showing how bright this actually is, but this is how bright this tank is compared to that tank with the LED strips. This tank is the brightest tank I got in my whole room. Well, actually, it's the brightest tank I got out of all the tanks I own. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wire up this on and off switch and come back. And of course I'm just going to wire the on and off switch to this little on off button I got right here. And looks like my flower horns, my flower horns slowly coloring up. Alright, tank's been set up. Well, not been set up, but my thing, it's been modified. And here's the light difference with the light on. It's a lot more brighter, like I keep saying, than the other one. But now you can really see how big of a difference this simple little $5 light will do to this tank. And of course, if I just want to lift the lid, I just go like this. And I have an actual stopper for the lid, so it just stays in place. I don't have to do any weird, what are those stupid things called again? Barbecue skewers to hold the tank up. I just lift the tank up and it stays. So that little piece right there, the fact that I can just lift the lid and it'll stay, is the one reason why I'm keeping this ugly monstrosity on the top of the tank. But as you can tell, it looks like everyone's doing just fine. The Rams are still trying to get used to the flow rate of the filter, because the tank that they were originally in always has a beta cup. Just has beta cups. So they have to get used to this new flow rate. My flower horn's already used to the flow rate because he's been in this tank since I got him. And of course that flower horn is, as I can tell, a little stressed out. But at least they're not getting it like bullied like they used to be when they were in the tank with the beta. But yeah, I just got done this simple little modification fixed the buying up this tank nicely. Now, do I think this thing can grow live plants? It might be able to grow low light in simple plants, but I don't have any plants I can put into this tank right now, so I'm not going to say anything yet on this. All I know is that this light's good for a simple, cheap tank light. Alright, so again, an update on something. I think I'm going to do like a small update on all the fish I own before I upload this video. So here I got a 8-gallon plastic tote. This tote has 1 betta, 2 shrimp, and some snails from Petco. Mr. Betta is most likely hanging out behind the filter. The only reason why he's in this tank is because he was getting bullied in one of my other tanks. Oh, there he is. As you can tell, his finish is in pretty horrible shape. He's supposed to be a crown tail. So I moved him to this tank. The only things that are in here are snails and shrimp. There are 2 shrimp. I got these shrimp in hopes that they'll breed. That way so I can have something more tasty for my puffer to eat. I also have more snails coming in most likely tomorrow, or hopefully soon, to feed my puffer. The current snail tank I have is doing just fine, though the snails are taking a while to grow. But this tank is littered full of baby snails. So I'm just going to let this tank sit for a while, just let them grow out. But yeah, hopefully this tank will be full of snails and shrimp in probably a month or so, maybe. Other than just snails, I'll be getting soon, but there will be ram's horns. But Mr. Betta here likes this new tank because he technically this tank's all to himself. Hopefully his finish will grow back too. Alright, so let's see my useless angels. So, the female here is bulking up on eggs again, as you can tell. This time they actually had a viable batch. But guess what happened? They ate them again. This time they're actually on the little surface, actually moving around. So I actually had fry this time. But they ate them like they always do. These two are completely useless angelfish. The only reason why I'm keeping them is because they're both beautiful angels. Mr. Betta here is doing just fine. This tank is very unorthodox, but it's the only current setup I could do. These two Bettas here and here were originally in the bathroom. Unfortunately, I was trying to convert their tank into a rimless, but I accidentally broke it. And also, I did this for another reason. It was because of this flower horn right here. Whenever I came out here prior to adding these two Bettas, this flower horn would always hide the instant he sees me. Now I'm right up in front of his tank, putting my hand more or less close to the tank, and he backs off, but he doesn't dart and hide. He'll still back away, but these two Bettas here have basically stopped him from hiding. And of course, I have some dividers and whatnot. I have the water level a lot more lower than normal. That way, so if anyone decides to jump, nothing can happen. I'm also going to put a little grate on top of my flower horns flower horn side. That way, so I can absolutely stop him from jumping. But for right now, I haven't had any problems with this tank. This tank has been set up like this for around 2 to 3 weeks now. And as you can tell now, my dragon scale is being active again. Main reason why is because I lifted the lid and he thinks that I'm going to be giving him food. This tank is doing just fine. Unfortunately, I lost the molly that was in here. But unfortunately, there's nothing I could do about it. That molly was sick when I moved it in here. I'm just very happy it lived for another 1 to 2 months before it died. I think one of my guppies are preggies, but I'm not sure. This zebra Daniel might be pregnant, I don't know. And of course, this tank here is the one that had the 2 rams. Mr. Betta here was a jerk to the 2 rams, but now Mr. Betta has this tank all to himself. Algae and all. And of course, I have some live plants in here too. Believe it or not, these plants are growing on this little simple LED light strip, so that's good. And of course, this tank also has 2 filters, a simple sponge filter and an actual filter. These guys are doing just fine. I still have all 3 in this tank. I also gave them some some real plants to hang out in. They're slowly growing. This one's actually gotten a lot bigger since I've added it. And I also got a runner. So all 3 beds are here, as you can tell. They're all in great shape. And of course, this tank here is doing just fine too. This is where the Betta that's in that little 8-gallon plastic tote used to be in. He was getting bullied by, I believe, these 2 little red eyes, and I decided to move him into that little plastic tote. Oh yeah, and I don't know if I said this or not, but this guy right here wasn't actually doing so good for a while. I managed to save it, so I'm very happy about that. But that's a rarity for me, unfortunately. I don't know how exactly I managed to save this little angel. But I managed to save it. It wasn't acting normal. It wouldn't come up for food or anything like that. I did a few water changes and he's back to normal. But then again, that's a rarity. I'm pretty sure that if he started acting up again and I did another water change, he probably wouldn't make it. But I'm not going to get into that. But overall, everyone's doing just fine, which I'm very happy with. The only major loss was that one little Molly. It still sucks I lost it, but never really had any good luck with Mollies, unfortunately. So that's my update. I gotta now figure out what exactly I want to title this video, which is always a pain in the butt for me when it comes to titling these YouTube videos.